A little more work with inequalities. Now we're going to work with something we call a compound inequality. And the first thing I'm going to show you is how to graph the answers for compound inequalities. So we're just going to show you how to make graphs with those right now. So to start with, you have essentially about 4 different situations you can run into when you get to the answers of compound inequalities. And when we graph these, we graph them on a number line. So what you see here in red is it says n is greater than -4 and n is less than 3. So what I do with this is I'm going to graph it on a number line. Get my handy dandy color out here, and all I do is I make a simple straight line across, and I'm going to put my arrows at the end because numbers continue forever in both directions. I'm going to put a couple of marks on the number line, and I'll identify the numbers. So in this case, I'm identifying -4 and 3. I also have to remember that when I'm working with inequalities and graphs, that if I have a greater than sign or a less than sign, I use an open circle. If I have a greater than or equal to or a less than or equal to sign, that when I use a number line, it is a closed circle. I get to color that rascal in. So I have to remember that while I'm working with my graphs. Okay, so back to my graph that I started with. I have n is greater than -4 and n is less than 3. The word and is important here. And means any number that I pick has to work in both inequalities. It has to make both inequalities true. So when I have to figure out the number line, we're going to put some closed dots on there or an open dot on there, and then we're going to shade to say these are the numbers that work. So to do that, I test. I pick a number out of my head. I look at the number line and say, what is a number to the left of -4 on the number line? Well, that's -5 would be an easy one to work with. So I put -5 in where I see the n. And I say, okay, is -5 greater than -4? No, it's not. If I'm outside, it's colder. So in this case, no, it's not. If I say no one time and I have the word and here, that means I will not shade here. I won't shade over to the left here. -5 is not greater than -4. And says it has to work in both. If I say no once, no shading allowed. No, so I'm going to erase this because I don't need it. So now let's find a number that's in the middle here, like 0, because 0 is in between -4 and 3. So is 0 greater than -4? Yes, it is, because it is to the right of -4, and if I'm thinking in terms of temperature, 0 is warmer than -4 on the when I'm outside. So let's then test in the other inequality. Is 0 less than 3? You bet. If I have no money compared to $3, I have less money. So in this case, I have said yes to both, and that means I get to shade in the middle of these two. That means all the numbers that are true so far work in here. All right, lastly, let's pick a number before 3. That's to the right of 3, like 5. So let's test on that and see what happens and where do I get to shade here. So let's see, 5. Is 5 greater than -4? Yep, it is. Is 5 less than 3? No, it's not. I have to say yeah with an and. I have to say yes twice. So I only said it once. That means I can't shade out there. So the only shading I have is between 4 and 3. What circle do I have to then use on 4 and 3? I need an open circle on -4. And my apologies, I said 4 a minute ago. I meant -4. So I put an open circle on -4 and an open circle on 3. And now I have done the graphing for my answer to this compound inequality that says where is n greater than -4 and n less than 3. The second situation that you can run into would be when you have the word or. Well, when you have the word or in an answer, it means only one of them has to be true. So how do I deal with this? So let's draw a new number line. We'll just draw a nice straight line as I can. And I'm going to put arrows at the end of both. And I'm going to put my numbers -2 and 5 on there. And then let's see here. Since it's greater than or equal to, let's start taking a look here. So let's look at numbers less than -2. Okay, a number that I can think of that's less than -2 happens to be -5. Is -5 less than or equal to -2? Yes, it is. It is less than or equal to. So now with or, it says, hey, you only have to say it once. So I want to say yes once. Well, this is true on this one. So that means everything back here is going to get shaded in. It also means that I get to shade in the arrow. So I'm going to shade in my arrow too at the same time. Now I'll look here in between the numbers. So I look to the left of the -2. Let's look in between the numbers. A number that's in between there is 0. So is 0, let's take a look and erase all this. Is 0 less than or equal to -2? No, it's not. Okay, well, let's see. Last time when I said no, I couldn't do any shading. But with or, as long as you can say yeah, you can say no one time. But you have to say yes once. So let's try it in the other one. Is 0 greater than or equal to 5? No. I have said no both times. If I say no both times, no shading. Cannot shade in between because it doesn't work in either one. I have to get it to work in one of them. So let's now test in our third spot out here, bigger than 5. All right, number that's bigger than 5, 6. Is 6 less than or equal to -2? No, it's not. 6 is actually bigger. Positives are always bigger than negatives, so I say no here. But is 6 greater than or equal to 5? Yes, it is. So that I said yes, so I get to shade out here. All right, so I've done all my testing. Let's put in our circles that we need to put in. Since I have -2 is less than or equal, y is less than or equal to -2, that means a solid circle on -2, so I'm going to color that one in. Y greater than or equal to 5, that means greater than or equal to, also over here means a solid circle. So now I have my shading done for this. Y is less than -2 or y is greater than or equal to 5. And let's think about it for a second. Can a number truly be less than -2 or greater than 5 at the same time? Yes, it can. It can be. As long as it makes one of them true, I'm in good shape. So that's two of them that I've shaded now. Okay, so we're getting a little long in the video here. Let's see if we can move, if I can get it to move a little quicker. We got two more examples to go through. Here's another situation you run into. A is greater than 3 or A is greater than 6. Notice the inequality symbols are both going the same direction. But on my first two problems, the inequality symbols were opposite directions. Now I have two inequalities going in the same direction. So again, I'll draw my number line. And I'm going to put my arrows on there. And I want to put my numbers on there, 3 and 6. And now we'll start to test below 3, in between the numbers, and then above 6. So numbers below 3. Well, 2. Is 2 greater than 3? No. Is 2 greater than 6? No. That means I can't shade over here to the left of this. Pick a number in between. 5. And I'm just picking these out of my head. 5. Is 5 greater than 3? Yes, it is. Is 5 greater than 6? Well, no, it's not, but the word here is or. So since 5 is in between, and I got a yes one time, I can shade for the numbers in between. Now let's take a look at the numbers bigger than 6. Is like 7. Is 7 greater than 3? Yes, it is. And is 7 greater than 6? Yes, it is. So I can continue to shade here. The question I would have for you is, what do I do with the number 6? We would think, hey, we should have an open circle on 6. Well, if you look, the number 6 does work right here because 6 is greater than 3. And this says or, it only has to work once. And since it works over here on the left inequality, I will just shade over the top of 6. I have to now put something over 3. That's an open circle. So I have an open circle over 3, and I shade everything to the right, including 6, because the number 6 works on the inequality on the left side here. All right, next, and that last example. B is greater than or equal to 3 and B is greater than or equal to 6. Well, this time, instead of having the or in between, I have an and. Notice I have the same numbers and inequality signs facing the same direction. Okay, number line. Put down my 3 and 6 again. Here we go. 3, 6. Oh, bad 3. All right, now that's better. Okay, let's test again. 2 is not greater than 3. And this says and. You have to say yes both times. Well, I said no to 2, so I'm done testing on this side of 3. I can't shade there. Let's go between them. All right, 5. 5 is greater than 3. But 5 is not greater than 6, so I can't shade in between either. So let's try bigger than 6. Try 7. 7 is greater than 3. And 7 is greater than 6. So that means I get to shade over here. So now I got to figure out what am I going to do for circles. Well, I need a closed circle on 6 because it has a greater than or equal to sign. I will not put anything circle on 3 because the number 3 may work over on the left inequality because 3 is greater than or equal to 3, but 3 is not greater than or equal to 6, and means it's got to work on both. So I'm done with my shading at this point. Okay, we're at 10 minutes and that's enough. Here's what I want you to do. Page 317, numbers 1 and 2, and then page 318, numbers 8 through 13. And all you're going to do is just graph those. Let me know what I can help you with.